The Big Interview, only on The Morning Show.
Well, this morning it is most certainly a big interview because we're chatting to Ray Funnell, who is a leukemia survivor. It's an absolute pleasure to be talking to you this morning, Ray. How are you doing?
Today I'm doing excellent, thanks, Mazina.
Well, thank you for joining us. It really means a lot to us because you've got really a special story. Ray, you had leukemia and today you stand victorious as you are cancer-free. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I mean, this week I've just been celebrating because I've been actually told that I was 5 years in remission now.
Wow.
So that's quite an epic achievement. And it's been a long story. So it goes all the way back to 2006. Mm-hmm. At that time, what had happened is I saw a bruise on my right arm. And this bruise just wouldn't want to get better. And I went in for a checkup with the doctor, and I had the horrible news that it turned out I had this aggressive form of leukemia. So they basically said that I had to go straight to hospital. I don't have an immune system. The reason I had a bruise was because I haven't got any platelets in my body. Yeah. And so I thrust straight into all this medical stuff where you had to go to my hospital for the first time. They said, now I must go and have an operation, have a port put in because I must go into an aggressive form of treatment, which is a chemo that must go into your bone marrow and actually wipe it out to take away the leukemia. So it was all a lot to try and comprehend in a very short time. And I also didn't realize that this was going to become like my second home for also a long time in the hospital. It was almost a year I spent in the hospital going through treatment.
Yeah.
But it was, I was one of the fortunate ones. I responded to the treatment, and I actually managed to come through.
Wow, that is phenomenal. How long did it take, from sort of start to finish?
Well, what had happened is I went on like an induction chemo, which took about 3 months, and then I came into remission. But what they said is it's not a permanent cure. For a permanent cure, they have to find a bone marrow match with my bone marrow, my body. And then it was a search to find a donor. Yes. And fortunately, my brother was a match in my case, which you got this 1 in 4 chance. But if it wasn't for that, then I would have been, like everyone else, having to try and find an unrelated match, which is this 1 in 100,000 chance.
Good grief.
Anyway, so I had we found the match with my brother, and it was about 2 months later we did the transplant, and so I even changed blood type in that process.
Wow.
So I became my brother's blood type, his immune system, everything else like that. So we became twins after that.
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't actually realize that.
I didn't know that either.
Ray, tell me, what was the biggest challenge during this trying experience?
Challenges? No, I think probably every day is a challenge when you're going through that. You've got all the initial shock going through the treatment. There was always the problems with infections that you had to try and you stay on antibiotics all the time. You got pain, the medical bills, the stress. But I think for me the biggest challenge was the big stuff. It was having that bone marrow transplant, and also you were kept alive with blood donors because they wipe out your own bone marrow all the time, so you couldn't produce your own blood for this period of about a year.
Good grief.
So every 3 or 5 days I'd have transfusions of red cells and platelets from donors. So that's kind of what changed my life, is realizing that you completely rely on other people to keep you alive.
Yeah. And at times, we feel like we're not immortal, but you feel like, oh no, it'll never happen to me. So it really is, it brings you down to earth to realize that, it can.
It is, nobody ever thinks that it can happen to you. And I think everyone that it does happen to now, that sort of changes their life. They become now the preacher, to say to other people, appreciate your health,
Yes.
That's the main thing when you got it.
Absolutely. I must admit that, as I said, you don't usually contemplate the magnitude of facing an illness like leukemia unless it happens to you or someone that you love. So today, each one of us can make a difference in someone's life who is afflicted by this and other illnesses. Ray, what is your plea to each one of us here at Pick n Pay?
Well, this time of year, I know Pick n Pay's got this massive Bandana Day campaign, which seems trivial. That's 25 Rand to go buy your bandana, but it makes such a big difference in leukemia and other people with these blood disorders' life, because it's bringing them hope. The donations go towards paying for the cost of the blood typing test, and there's lots of people that want to join the registry, but they just can't afford it. So that's where the money goes. And it basically gives those people that don't find a match, bone marrow match with their siblings, then there'll be other people out there that can actually also save their lives. So it's a life-saving campaign in my eyes.
Absolutely. Ray, thank you so much for your words. Your story has inspired me, and I'm sure many of our listeners. So please, let's really push the sales of these bandanas. 25 Rand isn't a tall order. Let's push every customer that we make contact with today to purchase a bandana, or 5 or 6, and to wear it proudly on the 12th of October. Ray, thank you ever so much for chatting to Radio Pick and Pay. Have a wonderful day further.
Sure, and I believe that on the Sunflower Fund website that you must take photos of bandanas on your dogs and yourself and your people at your work, and then send those photos in, because they do post them, and it's some awesome photos there.
Okay, great. Well, I'm gonna have the whole family, wearing their bandanas this year, and I'll certainly post those pictures. Thanks again for chatting to us. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
The Big Interview, only on The Morning Show.